What's
That was
going
a mic
on?
boom.
I like it.
Nothing much. Or
So,
what's going on, audience?
right.
Ooh.
So, what's up, everyone? This is our new, I guess we're calling it a podcast. It's Mile a Minute Movie Talk. I don't know if that name is official, but that's what we're calling it
That's it
today.
for now, yeah.
Yeah. um, we're rolling with real names. I don't know if they can see our names, but I guess we'll find out once
Probably
this
not.
video is.
I think it's just for the production.
Yeah. Well,
If
I
not,
am. You guys know I'm
Diligent
Dylan.
Picks.
Yes, Diligent Picks, and this is my friend Lucas.
Infamous. What's my YouTube channel name? It
Yeah,
is.
yeah. This is your chance. Plug in your channel.
I am currently Static Head Productions, so that may change, but that is it as of right now.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah, it's that or Lagure, which is Lugure. That's my
Oh,
Instagram.
okay.
Lagure Films.
Yeah, it should do at the end. It should be like, all right, where can they find you?
Yeah.
Well, for those of you guys who don't know Lucas, he is a good friend of mine. We met at Joe Video, the last
The once last.
the once last video store in the North Bay over where we live in California.
Yes, it's where I worked through college.
Yeah, so we met 2017?
2018.
I'm just gonna say you're right.
Yeah, I know the exact date I started working because it was my birthday.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so we met in 2018.
October 16, 2018.
Oh man, how many years ago was that?
5 since we're in 2023, but technically like 4.5.
Yeah. Well, since then, Lucas and I have become good pals. We go watch movies together, and we talk about movies. I went to Joe Video every week. This is, I guess, is this the first official week that we haven't gone to do our
Yes,
or is it last
today it would have technically been last week actually.
Yeah,
because last week was the first. First was a Sunday.
So the idea behind this podcast, or I guess I'm gonna call it like a movie talk show.
Yes.
For now, was because Lucas and I would see each other almost on a weekly basis at Joe's and just talk about movies and pretty much anything we're into at the time. So this is kind of a nice way for us to keep that going and see where it goes.
Yes.
If you guys like it enough, we'll keep it going.
But film.
Yeah, I guess the idea is right.
Degreeable film men.
Yes. Well, you definitely got the film degree. I almost had a film studies minor. I could have gotten it, but I didn't really need it.
Hey, communications, you communicate movies.
There you go. Exactly. I did film in my communications major. But yeah, so we where was I going with that? You go ahead. I lost my train.
I don't think I was gonna say anything. We were just talking about that we're both
Well, oh yeah. So the idea really was to give us sort of to bring the video store experience back to, because I think that's what we don't have as much communication like this anymore where people can just talk about movies. It's like you text your friend, be like, oh, did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was like the whole thing with the video store was that like, oh hey, we're coming in here and we're talking about movies with people, and it's like anything and everything movie wise, and you don't really have like a place to do that anymore because like movie theaters, I work at one right now partially, but yeah, like you talk about mostly current movies and with your coworkers what you're watching, I guess, but like at a video store, it's like everything. Someone brings up some movie, you'll talk about that. And so it's like the whole amalgamation of just like cinema in itself, film, TV, and all that, and just like a place to talk about that. And so make it more of like an audience engagement system rather than like you're listening to two guys talk.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that was always the fun part because we'd just be talking and someone would come in and they'd be super into something and then we just kind of share our thoughts and help recommend other stuff. So
yeah,
that's kind of the idea. We want to talk about all things movies, but we'll throw in some TV shows, maybe even some music or games or whatever we're into at the time.
Yeah, nothing's more brings you into having something to talk about than someone literally handing you something they're going to watch and you've seen it. So it's kind of like that thing. It's like, oh, we'll talk about something, and then you guys may watch it after, and then next time we come on, you guys have something to talk about. We'll go back into that.
Yeah, so it'll be a nice kind of like there will be some continuity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of film,
No
I
filler
think.
episodes.
Right? Oh, there might be a
No,
few of those.
we're gonna
This
have a
is
beach.
This is January after
We're
all.
gonna have a beach episode.
For all you anime weebs out there, that was for you. The beach episode.
Yeah, I'll be the guy that just has a different weird movie shirt on every week, so I won't run out. I got like 50.
I don't think you will ever run out. No.
Yesterday,
Um,
we had a game night, and I wore my Nope hoodie
yeah, if you guys
from
have seen Nope,
Scorpion
yeah,
King crew shirt
yeah,
hoodie.
yeah, the Scorpion King. We're gonna have to uh, edit in a picture of that maybe later. um, but yeah, so this time is a nice time for film because it's a new year. So
Mhm.
Lucas and I were kind of brainstorming a little bit and talking about how our year in review. There's a lot of stuff we both watched, and
Exactly.
there was a lot of some stuff we absolutely loved that we agree on. There was some things we didn't like.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of surprising things too, and then even some guilty pleasures out there. So, what should we start with, Lucas?
Yeah, what was the first thing that we wanted to talk about? Would we
Well,
do just best and worst? That's our segment that we were going to run
yeah,
through, right? Yeah, so
yeah,
I mean, I feel like obviously we should just go with like best and worst. So probably say our worst movie we actually watched. I think
okay.
that's a good thing.
Now we want to stick with strictly movies that came out in 2022.
I think that's
That makes
you could
sense.
bring in like, hey, I saw this movie first watch, it sucked, and then you could talk about it
Yeah,
if you want to. But yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know
I know.
I do a list. I'm OCD about that, so I like log every movie in a list, loosely rank them.
It's okay. I do the same exact thing,
Yeah.
but I purge my list at the end of the year, which is I've already done that.
Oh, you don't have what?
I'm just kidding. I do have a list.
Yeah.
I use Movie Lens, which is a free
Plug?
website
Is that
where
a plug?
oh,
A
it is a
free plug?
100% plug.
Um, for anybody out there though, you cannot import letterbox stuff to it. If you have IMDb though, you can.
Apparently, you can if you're like a super
Yeah, somebody made a
computer
GitHub
nerd.
script, but that's off track. But yeah, I think you should go first because I don't know. I think I've pretty much talked about the worst movie I've seen mostly when we worked at the
Okay,
video
actually,
when I worked at the video
I
store.
have a good one. I did enjoy this film, so I don't know if it's technically the worst movie,
Yeah.
but for a movie that I truly saw for the first time, which was one of the last movies I ever rented from Joe Video, handpicked by Lucas and Omar,
Oh, so you're
other
going
Joe
with
Video
first
employee.
watch instead of like released, ooh.
First watch, first watch, but also lowest rated film of the year.
Yeah.
Goes to Jason X
Ah,
in all its
cinema.
glory.
Cinema at its finest.
Well, honestly, I greatly enjoyed it. I should have
Yeah.
watched it. It should have been like a movie night, like a blockbuster
Exactly,
background
yeah.
movie. But watching it by myself, I still had a good time.
Yeah, there's so
It
many
actually,
movies that are like that. That's the thing. Is like I know this movie's not good, but I'm just gonna say I had a fun time.
exactly. And I think that is one of the things you actually discover a lot at a video store is the so bad it's good movies.
Yeah.
Because otherw's you're never going to hear about them.
Yeah.
The Netflix algorithm is never going to get you to watch The Room.
Yeah. That's like it's you're limited, especially with streaming services. That's why it's good to have like, like Movie Lens or like Letterboxd, IMDb, all that stuff. It kind of like maybe kind of curates, but it's still an algorithm. But like if you go like deep diving into some random stuff, you'll find it. But like nothing's more encompassing than the genre section at like a movie store. And so Off
Yeah.
the Wall, which was our cult section at my video store, oh, there's some beautiful trash there.
So, yes, some flaming hot garbage of amazingness.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I don't think
What was, yeah,
I'm just gonna go for a movie like released that year because that's what I was gonna do.
yeah, yeah, you do that.
I don't. I kind of want to. I'll say what that was, but I also kind of want to look at like what was my lowest rated movie that I watched last year too. But as of right now, the worst movie that I say I watched that was released in the year 2022 was what's it called? Um, Blonde. I watched Blonde and I hated
Ooh,
that.
I watched snippets of Blonde.
Yeah, I watched like 15 minutes and I hated it, and then I kind of just put it on like 2x and kind of skipped through, and
I
that was just like traumatic.
I think you single-handedly dissuaded me from
Yeah,
watching that
because that
movie.
movie was like grossly like I get what he was going for. Like everything, he was like, I want to make Passion of the Christ, but with like Monroe, and I was in Manson, but no, just don't do
That's
that
what he
with a
turned
real
it into,
person.
right?
I don't know why you would do that. It's just like it was kind of weird, and it wasn't like tasteful at all, but also wasn't like I just didn't like it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that like a lot of it just felt like exploitative.
Exploitative.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
exploitative of like the person, but also just like it felt like we're gonna make these really disgusting like images of like the worst moments of this person's life, and like literally
Mm-hmm.
make if this person was still alive and they saw this, it would be like literally their eternal hell, and that just feels like super bad. I did not like the idea of that. I
Mm-hmm.
was like,
As someone who loves Marilyn Monroe,
yeah,
I was really looking forward to that film, and I thought from the trailers that it was going to be amazing. Like, um, I like the way they did the trailers because they were so like mysterious. But and I, you know, to her credit, I do think from what I've seen, Ana de Armas, I don't fault her in any way. I think she did a great job
hmm
with what she was given.
yeah,
You know, I don't know if like 5 years down the line she's gonna say like I regret making that movie or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
But you know, like if you're an actress in Hollywood and you're given the opportunity to play Marilyn Monroe, like how could you pass that up?
Yeah,
You know, I mean, like you know, in the end product, there's only so much she probably really knew in terms of how it was going to come out too.
hmm
But anyway, yeah, Blonde. I don't know if I'll ever actually fully watch it. You
yeah. I
know,
don't think I ever will. Just no interest.
I also know it's like really
It's
long
like
and that.
almost. I think it's just under 2 hours. It is.
And you mean 3 hours? I feel like it's
No,
got to
it's
be more
just
than
under
two.
2. 167 minutes. So that is 2 hours and 40s?
No, that's 2 hour. Yeah, that yeah, 2 hours
240,
and 40.
247, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just under three.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just under 3. It's like,
Well, can I cheat for the surprising? What I thought was the most surprising.
um,
I want to pick two movies.
yeah, let's go surprising and then end with best because I think that's a good order. Worst, most surprising,
Yeah,
or do you want to go most disappointing first? Well, let's even
yeah.
it
Let's
out.
start with the.
Let's even
Yeah,
it
I
out.
forgot about
Happy
disappointing.
sad. Okay, let's go. What's your most surprising? I feel like we might end up in the
I
same
think you might.
boat.
Yeah, we might agree on both of
Yeah.
these. Well, it's got to be Ty West and his
Ooh.
now soon-to-be trilogy
Okay. That was not
of.
what I was expecting actually.
Oh, I think I know what you're gonna
I
say
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But X and Pearl, the fact that we
Yeah.
not Pearl was already surprising just from the point we got
Yeah.
it the same year, and that it's a prequel. But the fact that they made both
Yeah.
films and they came out the
That
same
was such
year,
like
and they were both so damn
that was
good.
such a hype boost after watching that movie. Like, what the fuck was it? That was dope. And then you're just like Pearl, and you're like, what? And then it's just like here's a trailer, and you're like, I okay, I'm already invested in this
Yeah.
universe. Like, I definitely liked Pearl way more than X, but I thought X was like a really fun love letter. And all of the movies are kind
Mm-hmm.
of like love letters to certain genres. Like, I can't wait for Maxine because it's a love letter to the erotic thrillers of like the 80s, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like Body Double and stuff like that. Oh, it'll be so fun.
And you know that's the thing. Like I think for you and I, Pearl is like a film lovers movie, so I could see why we
Yeah,
both like it more.
exactly.
But
That
I've
it
when I,
it really feels kind of like tidbits of like I don't know, kind of like the character driven stuff like
Technicolor.
yeah, like Taxi Driver style, like King of Comedy, I'm going crazy and going down a spiral, but you're focusing on not as often, but this time a female character, but it's in the 1920s, 1910s,
Mm-hmm.
c- because it's
Yeah.
Spanish flu. But yeah, like that was just really fun, and also Mia Goth. It's like the year of Mia Goth.
Yeah, it was Mia Goth's showcase this year, and it's gonna suck when she doesn't get an Oscar
Yeah,
nomination.
it's
But you know,
horror.
yeah.
Horror.
But she. So yeah, I think just to say one last thing. So like with X, I think the horror community actually likes X more than Pearl.
Yeah,
But but as a horror
X
film,
is
yes.
very much a horror film, and Pearl is very much, to me at least, a thriller. Like it's a
I do think for both.
thriller with horror elements, you know.
The funny thing is, I think for both of us, we had bad experiences seeing X in the
No, I
theater.
didn't. Remember, I had the best
Well, you
experience.
saw it
I
alone,
saw it
right?
alone by
Yeah,
myself
but
at
but that
11:30 in the
can be a
morning.
but that can be a bad experience. Like for a you don't want to see a movie in the theater by yourself, you know?
Yeah, I was. It was back when I was finishing up my last semester, so I was like, I'm gonna go see a movie. Oh, X is out. Okay, walked to the theater. I went to SF State, so I just walked over to ye old what is that Real? Regal, Regal in the mall,
Oh, okay.
and I went and saw it, and it was very weird, but it was also really fun.
Well, my friends will never. It's just an ongoing joke, and every time we see each other now, we have to. It's like no matter what movie we watch, one of us has to just blurt out, "Do you guys want some candy?" Because we had someone sitting next to us in the theater just constantly asking us every like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, "Hey, do you guys want some candy?" And like we kept telling them, "No, thank you,"
Yeah,
until we finally like got yelled at by someone in the audience because that and another friend of mine were smirking and laughing at parts of the film. So you know, it was it was rough, but
yeah.
I think that movie will only improve upon
Rewatching,
further
yeah.
viewings.
Especially after seeing Pearl, they're both connected, and there's a lot of hints to like, oh hey, now there's gonna be like a thing where people are gonna be like, you gotta watch it in chronological order. Start with Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's actually what I'm really looking forward to because I have a few friends who want to see Pearl and they haven't seen Pearl, so I'm like, we should start
Yeah,
with
that would
Pearl
be, yeah, like
and
that's
then watch
fun.
X. So
Um,
yeah,
okay, so my most surprising, I feel like, is a lot of people's actually, which I think you know what it is Barbarian.
that's not what
Oh,
I
what'd you
thought, but
think?
yes,
No,
that
tell me
was a
what you
bit.
thought.
Well, we'll save it because I think it's probably going to be one of our favorite
Okay.
films.
Uh,
One of our favorite
Barbarian,
films.
yeah, because like I'm just looking at like my top 10. I'll just these are in no order, but like
Sure.
I got Pearl, like Prey, Decision to Leave, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Fableman, Norseman, Batman, stuff like that. And then Barbarian's in there, and I'm like, let's look at this guy's like every one of those directors that did those stuff, or there are name or house not household names, but like known names in film, or they're like a known franchise. But Barbarian was a new IP by the guy from Whitest Kid You Known, who had only directed Miss March, which is a horrible movie I had seen when I was like 12. It is like almost meta to the point. It's like so bad it feels like it's trying to be meta, but like it's not. It's just it's like so weird. Anyway, not talking about that. He did Barbarian. I read like the whole story how they got it financed, which is hilarious because none of the studios wanted it. They're like, why do you want to do a 2-act movie? No one does a 2-act for your essentially director debut because they don't. He co-directed Miss March, and so they're like, and you want like $2-4 million on this weird movie that has a weird act structure. You pull a scream and do something. I don't want to spoil it actually, if no one's
Uh
seen
huh.
it.
Uh huh.
But
Yep.
like
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff that like it just on paper it sounds really bad. For like trying to make this your first film, and then it like was really awesome to just go in blind and see that movie. And it's like very much has the elements of horror that you kind of miss with some of the stuff, just like this crazy thing going around, and you're just like this crazy thing going on, something that you don't expect, a lot of claustrophobia, a lot of darkness, and characters that maybe small points might do something that you wouldn't do, but it's kind of shoehorning you in a way like, oh, they have to do certain things, and then also a lot of decisions they make are kind of like stuff that you would probably do in that situation
Yeah.
similarly. So it felt really realistic. Also, there's just some like very funny comedic stuff. Justin Long is great in it. And just the way that they frame it, the way that they kind of steer the audience into different directions with their false narrative is really great. So I just thought that I was super surprised that essentially someone who just became like a random screenwriter and kind of laid low for the last couple of years came out and did this after not being really a name known for like the last decade.
Yeah. That. Yeah. Barbarian. If I had to do like a for sure list of like the
Yeah,
most
probably like
surprising
top
movie,
three.
Barbarian would have to be. Yeah.
It's a movie that you don't want to talk about, like you don't want to hear someone
You
talk
want
about
you
until
want
you
to
see
keep
it,
you want
or
to
unless
keep
you're
it
one of
as.
those weird people that like to look up plots before you see a movie.
I know people like
I'm
that.
joking. I'm
No,
joking.
those
I'm not
people
calling you
exist.
weird.
Those people exist.
It
I
was
know.
I was jossing. We love you.
Well, I think those are we. It was okay. Well, first of all, this year or 2022 was like a landmark year for horror films.
Landmark year for horror, and I'd also say is just like a very good year compared to like the last 2 years.
Yeah,
Honestly, I did not watch like a lot of the nominated stuff from 2020 and 2021 because I was just like, these are not really appealing to me. And I watched a lot of just like indie stuff. And also, they were the two lowest years of movies released that year that I'd watch. It was like 30 or 40 each year of movies that were released in that year. It was
yeah,
very low watching for me. A lot of film
yeah.
studies because I was in college. So, it's kind of like my back year. I was starting to get back into it at the end of 2022, and 2023 is gonna be a strong year. I've already watched like
Nice.
4 movies. So
I know. I'm with you there. It's already. We're already starting off pretty good.
yeah, one
Um,
rewatch already. So
nice. And we'll
with
get to that.
you
Oh yeah, we'll get to
at one point.
that. um,
Disappointing?
let's. Yeah. So I forgot to write that one down. So
So, what movie did you hype up or were hyped about that was
mm,
not what you wanted and not good,
if you have
in
one,
your opinion?
yeah, I was gonna say if you have one to start with, like off the top of your head, go for it, because like I need to think about
I
this for a sec.
hated Doctor Strange.
Oh, I
I
remember.
okay.
I remember you not liking that very
I
much.
wouldn't say I
Yeah.
wouldn't say hated. That was a hyperbole, but I definitely did not like it. I I have a screenshot from this dude. I got in an argument with him about it because I was like, Doctor Strange wasn't that good. And Sam Raimi didn't really have that much range, in my opinion, or like they kind of steered his vision at points and told him to tone down. He was like, no, he had the whole thing, and then he got like really mad at me and like called me an idiot and stuff. He was like crazy Marvel guy. Anyway, I didn't like it that much. I do really like a lot of the scenes in it, and a lot of the stuff, but the overarching narrative and the CGI, especially, which is kind of something that's just been going on in Marvel. The CGI in some movies are just really bad because they're having different teams do them, different studios, rush jobs, or whatever, what have you, bad working conditions, all that. But I really didn't like. Me and my coworker at the video store, Omar, we're not a huge fan of Doctor Strange as a character in general, so
Mm,
going into it, I don't think him as a main character is really interesting. But I like the idea of the multiverse. But they didn't really go into a multiverse. They went into like like maybe three main set pieces and
yeah.
like six in total. But they only focused on like really three. There was like some cool actions and stuff going on, like a lot of the moves, the chase scene under the Illuminati. I'm gonna spoil this movie. I don't care.
Who hasn't
Like
seen it? Yeah.
but like a lot of the characters' purposes and stuff like that just didn't make any sense to me, really, in like a practical sense. Like it felt like very conventional to the storyline, some of the characters' decisions, and they were very much contradicting previous statements they said maybe half an hour before in the movie, without a real defiant change of heart that you saw happen with them. And like I really liked a lot of the overarching stuff in the movie, in the sense of like some of the visuals and like storytelling, but like the story and the script as plot in its own just like fell so flat for me. And like me and my girlfriend honestly left that theater super disappointed. And I think you can definitely see the hangover happen from that movie as well in Marvel, because since then their movies have tanked a lot in their money compared to that. Because that was like the last one that got near a billion, and then Thor did really bad, and then I don't even think anyone's coming out of there. It's been TV shows,
Black
but yeah.
Panther.
Oh, Black
Yeah.
Panther. Yeah, Black Panther's Black Panther. Everybody,
Yeah.
you'll see Black Panther. But even that one, like, isn't doing as good as they probably wanted. But definitely you saw a little dip after Doctor Strange, and I felt like that was the first one that they'd released that was like overarchingly like a lot of people did not like it, and that's all people talked about. Because like maybe one of the last ones that you saw, I mean, before that was Eternals, and then maybe like Captain Marvel. But Captain Marvel Endgame came out right after that, I think, or was it Infinity War? Endgame.
Yeah.
It was Endgame, and so people were like, "Endgame's coming out. I don't really care about Captain Marvel being not what I wanted." Um, and then there was all those dumb talking points with it. But then like Eternals came out during COVID, and so people were like, "Oh, we can blame COVID on the numbers." And then Doctor
Yeah.
Strange kind of was just like a nail, like, "Oh, hey, yeah, this kind of wasn't that good."
Yeah.
So that was
No.
probably,
Well.
looking at everything I'd watched, at the bottom of my list. That's my like third lowest, fourth lowest movie. And like
Mm-hmm.
the one I have right above that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a bad movie, but I had fun because it was so bad. Compared to
Okay.
Doctor Strange, I was just like, I don't like this.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, when you were just talking about that one, I mean, I did enjoy it, but I did think it felt very studio pressure, very like we need to insert this thing just for
Yeah.
like it felt like Sam Raimi had his movie, but then they
Hmm.
it was someone else's
I
movie at the
don't
same
get
time.
how someone like that person I was talking about, who like works, I say they work in the film industry, they're mutual through like a film thing I was in, but like I don't get how someone could say that like he had full reins, like he really had things that he wanted in the movie, elements like the zombie sequence and like crazy stuff, like the whole like murder scene with the certain characters, like that was awesome. I had so much fun with that, but that you could definitely tell them to like grab him by the hood and pull him back, be like, gotta slow it down, buddy. You gotta tone
Yeah,
it down a little bit. And I was like,
all
oh,
the
okay.
that was really the best part. That was all the Sam Raimi stuff,
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
stuff you knew was his.
It felt like the story he didn't really have a precise, he didn't really have a hand in as much as
Yeah,
he should have. Like he probably had like, you know, some stuff in it, but he co-wrote it with someone. So I feel like they were the person that
yeah,
was tasked with keeping him on the narrative of leading into another movie, because every one of those has to lead into something greater or better or another thing. And so they
yeah,
kind of have that overlord watching it, and it was kind of like definitely a little fell flat for me.
yeah. Well, when you were just talking about that, you reminded me of a movie that I guess I didn't have the okay, I did have pretty high expectations for it from uh you know the hype of like the previous installment and the person behind it and whatnot. And you reminded me of one of the more disappointing, which I will say was probably the most disappointing films I saw this year, which was Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, okay. We're just
That
hammering on Marvel first episode.
yeah,
Oh.
unfortunately, yeah. We don't
uh,
want to hate on Marvel too much, but like I think because I love Taika Waititi, I think the
mhm.
role, like the behind the scenes, it looked like it was going to be like the fact that Thor Ragnarok was one of the best,
Yeah,
top 10
I would say yeah.
Marvel films.
That was the movie that got me like really into Marvel, to back into Marvel, because I
Yeah,
kind of fell off when I got into high school for some reason. Just stopped watching them. I think the last one I saw
yeah.
was like maybe of I was like right before, I think I was like Iron Man 3 or something. I don't know why. I just didn't watch that much. I got really into TV when I was in middle school. So I watched a
Yeah.
lot of shows. I watched like The Wire and Friday Night Lights in like high school. That
Okay.
took a lot of my
Yeah,
life, Breaking Bad, stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
that's really the movie I saw at Third Street, R.I.P. And that, like, I was like, whoa, okay, these are really fun. Also, I really like Taika
Oh,
Waititi, because What You Do in the Shadows was one of my favorite movies when I first saw it in 2014. I think that came out. I saw that.
I
I got
love
to
that
see that
one.
one in
Yeah,
theaters. That was nice.
that's
Um,
cool.
but yeah, like when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I'll go see this because he's directing it, and I had a super fun time. And yeah, what happened with Love and Thunder kind of, it was like, this feels like almost a
Just
parody of
yeah.
a Watiti movie.
The way that I think the best way I can sum it up was to steal from a YouTube comment or somewhere else was someone said it's like they took all the things I hated about Thor Ragnarok and amped those things up to 11.
Yeah,
like I mean, I did not hate Korg. I thought Korg was a great little side
hmm
character for what his purpose was
exactly.
in
A side comic
Ragnarok.
relief, even though the movie's very
Yeah,
comedic in itself. He was like the
yeah,
pinnacle of comedy in the movie.
yeah. Like his use in that film was great,
Yeah,
but then like they just made him too central of a character in this film. And then the endless screaming goats, which the one thing I'll never be able to erase from my mind.
yeah. I watched like an hour of that movie, and also the reason that's not my most disappointing was because Doctor Strange came out before, and I was like, oh, that's not good. I have no faith in Thor and Love and Thunder.
But
Actually,
you also probably had even more,
I would say I was more
maybe
hyped
more
because I
hype.
didn't really care about Doctor Strange as a
Oh, okay.
character, but I was like, oh, it's
Yeah,
multiverse. It's got to be like really important, because like the last thing that we had further the line was the Loki show, and so this is gonna be the
yeah,
next thing, and then nothing. It just didn't really further
yeah,
anything. It was like, oh, here's us in 3 universes out of the infinite possibility of universes. I was like, oh,
yeah.
but yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder, I really was hyped for like in January, I guess,
Mm,
and then I watched a lot of the interviews, and it kind of just felt like they were kind of just like didn't really care. Like some of the interviews were like, "Oh yes, we have this thing to signal to them, this thing for this group," and like they didn't really care about like elements in it. I guess
mm,
like the actual like continuation of what was really good with that. They're just like, we're just gonna throw some things in that people like, and then kind of just do what we want because I got my paycheck, and
yeah.
these are my
I know what
friends,
you
so we're
mean.
just gonna hang out.
Yeah, it just definitely felt like they Taika Waititi maybe got a little too much free reign,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
In the worst way.
Also, yeah, one of my coworkers, he's like, I really like the ghost. I was like, that is like a joke from 10 years ago. I'm sorry. That is like millennial humor from like 2013 when Goat Simulator came out, and they had like the screaming Taylor Swift. Like
Oh
maybe
God.
one throwback joke that'd be funny, but then they kept popping up. It's like I think that like 2 people find this funny. Like
Yeah.
2% of people will be like, aha, that was my favorite joke 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like humor's kind of harder for like I feel like the younger generations though, kind of like closer to me because I'm like on the cusp of like Gen Z and millennial, and so it's like for these people in like the fast paced like comedic era that it is now with like TikTok and all that stuff, um, a lot of the jokes, if they're like anything that is like too far back and it hasn't become meta yet, or if it's something that just hasn't become meta because it wasn't funny in the first place, or it was like a throwaway thing in the first place, like people do not think it's funny. And
Yeah.
that's why
I
I
don't.
feel like
Yeah.
comedy is like kind of harder nowadays, just because
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to tap into like the crowd because there's so many different generations that have a different comedic taste.
Yeah. Comedy is like the one genre that's having a really hard time just
Yeah.
like especially because people have such different
Hmm.
senses of
And
humor.
it feels like movies are just
Um.
using comedy in them now,
Yeah.
just because they're
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, we can't make a comedy movie, we can throw funny bits in it, like a movie that we
Yep.
will talk about eventually, Babylon.
Yeah. Um. So let's see. Guilty pleasure.
Oh,
Is that
guilty pleasure. We
you
can do
want to say?
guilty pleasure.
Was that one we
Or do
wanted to
you want to
throw
talk
in?
about like your like? I
Favorite?
mean, I could throw two into guilty pleasure. Like, I can go for that.
I'm trying to think.
Like like for guilty pleasure, like a movie I know a lot of people won't like, but I really like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like like
Or just a sort of a trashy movie,
yeah,
but you love it.
like
You
I
know,
said
like
Texas Chainsaw, but I wouldn't put that as like my one. I was just like, I don't know, it's bad, but it's kind of funny. But like I really love
yeah.
Christmas Bloody Christmas because I love Joe Begos and all his dumb crap he
There you
does.
go.
So all Joe Begos, if you don't know who he is, he made two movies, VFW,
Mm.
um, and Bliss. He also made movies before that, but those are like my favorite and kind of like his modern era of stuff. It's all like practical
Mm.
effects, very 80s centric, a lot of neon, a lot of color, a lot of blood, a lot of swearing. Just feels like someone grew up in the 80s and just making movies based on what they saw, and that's like all they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so, Christmas Bloody Christmas is essentially Terminators are like a thing in the army, and they're like, oh hey, the war's over, let's throw them as mall Santas at these like
Mm.
places, and then they revert their programming and just start killing. And that's the plot of the movie. And it's like 85 minutes long. It came out like a week after Violent Night, and so people accidentally would see
Mm.
it. It was super funny. The showing that I went to, like one couple came in, they totally probably went to the wrong movie. But yeah,
Oh
people get like
God.
curb stomped, all practical effects. It's so over the top. There's like crazy sex scene, and it's kind of like flips it on the head of like what they kind of are for tropes, at least gender wise. So it's like a female lead, and like it's more about her and everything. And like I really like that part, and it was just a fun movie and just so over the top and dumb.
Yeah. Uh, Guilty pleasure is a tough one for me because for the most part, I try to watch like when I'm trying to watch films, I really try to seek out films that I think are gonna actually be good or have been like received well enough
Yeah,
to will me to go out and
the
check them
only
out.
thing
But if I was,
the only thing that like
oh, go
really
ahead.
took me away from that was like working at the video store because I'd walk around like when I first started working there and I just grab movies off the like, oh, the cover looks cool in this, I've never heard of this, and just watch it.
Yeah, yeah, and like if I had to say one movie that I kind of in on paper kind of like you might look at it as possibly a guilty
Mm-hmm.
pleasure, but was also surprisingly just like pretty well
Mm-hmm.
made. I think actually Violent Night might be the
That's what I
film
thought you were gonna say after I said that. I was like, oh, Dylan would probably say it. Yeah, that movie was just fun. I mean, you know, there's a lot of problems with it, and like story wise, like, oh, there's this, and this, but like, it's Home
because just the
Alone
fact
meets
that they
Die Hard.
right yeah like that's where I look at it as more of a guilty pleasure because they acknowledge those
Mm,
two movies. They went as far as to like they knew what they were making and they just wanted to like make the best version of that
yeah,
movie. You
exactly.
know, like they knew it, like they tried to make it intentionally cheesy, like the whole like, hey, get ready for some seasons beatings. You know, like all of those lines were
Yeah,
cheesy, but they were intentionally. It wasn't like the film
yeah,
itself was just
like that
cheesy.
cold
You know,
open. You just
exactly,
like you
exactly.
that
Like
sets the tone for the movie. Like, oh, okay,
to me, that's a perfect guilty pleasure movie because I can see it being a movie that I do watch maybe once
yeah,
a year going forward.
like
and also a movie that could end up becoming like a franchise of like you could make that movie into so that you could keep that going and but like swap it on its head. It's no longer Die Hard. It's like it's this,
Exactly. If you to borrow
like it's a
elements from different
different thing.
movies, you can kind of like mix it around too and be like, oh, this is this and this
Exactly.
now, because that's like how a lot of reviewers review movies now. Oh, it's Die Hard meets Home Alone, you know. And so
Yeah.
if you're kind of going for like that popcorny, it's not good, but it's like a fun movie. It's not like, or not good, but like cinema, you know. It's not art. It's just a fun
Right.
time, and like that's what like Christmas and Violent Night were for me. It's just a dumb fun time. I
Yeah.
know it's not
And I think
high art. I know it's not supposed to be something that is revered, but it's just fun to enjoy.
I think that's become, to me, fun has become the most underrated thing about cinema.
Exactly, especially with a lot of like
Like fun.
the nominated stuff. Like last couple of years, like some of those movies are just so sad, like that are nominated, and like some of them just aren't good sad. Like there's sad movies that I've seen this year. Like one of my favorite sad movies is like, I mean, like Decision to Lead. That movie is like vertigo elements of like thriller and like all that, and just like rips you apart, and you're like, fuck, ow, that
Mm-hmm.
hurt. I saw that before work. That wasn't fun. Why did I do that?
Oh,
But it's like such a
yeah.
fun, you know, such an experience to watch that and just like be controlled by the image of the director. But like we need a lot more refreshing stuff, especially I feel like a lot of those movies that dominated the award shows during COVID were sad movies in a time where we kind of needed
Mm-hmm.
something that wasn't as grim. Like the
Yeah.
year, what's it called? One, um,
Parasite?
no, that was
Or
20,
oh,
Nomadland.
Nomadland?
Like the year Nomadland. Nomadland's depressing.
Well, that
Oh
year.
yeah, The Father. You want to watch a movie about a guy with dementia? Oh hey, Sound of Metal. I really like Sound of Metal. That's about a movie losing his
I love
hearing.
Sound
Those
of
are like
Metal.
probably like three of the higher rated movies that you're like, come on, it's just like throw something in nice.
They were
Yeah,
all hard to watch,
like
like
I
at times.
really
Yeah.
like that, but like you know, I feel like in those years I didn't watch a lot of award nominated shows because I was seeking out a more variety of emotions I wanted from my films.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying like the award shows need to nominate like this dumb movie, but like it's nice to have more of those dominate the not box office but just theaters. Now that we're going back into theaters and or have been for a while.
The
Yeah,
crowd
like my
pleasers.
favorite. Okay, yeah. So for like the year before
Top
that,
Gun Maverick.
2020, one of my favorite movies was Spree. We could have a whole conversation
Yeah.
about that. And then like 2021, which was that the year Nomadland or no? Yeah. So the, Spree was like the Nomadland year. And then like last year, I
2020.
loved Kid Detective. Was like one of my favorite movies, which that does have dark elements, but it's so fun. So like just stuff like that, you know.
I just think, like movies that know what they are and just try to play to their strengths in that
Exactly.
way. I think that's actually really hard to do, and when they can pull it
Mm-hmm.
off, it's actually really that's what makes those ones
Mm-hmm.
so enjoyable. Is they're because they're more than just fun. They are well done in that way. They're just not well done as as a full fledged movie is trying to be in terms of the cinematography, the production design, the writing, the story. Like not everything isn't firing on
Mm-hmm.
all cylinders, but the things that they're going for
Mm-hmm.
are.
Yeah, I feel like it's
Um,
hard for some
and
directors to be unapologetically like them and have that control as well with the studio. Be like, I'm gonna do this crazy dumb thing, and like a lot of them don't have that
I
weight.
Yeah, and I think this year there was so many. I would just to keep the word going, fun
Yeah,
movies. Like we had Bullet Train, we had The Incredible Weight of
yeah,
The Unbearable
yeah.
Weight of Massive Talent. Like movies that were just so much fun. And like I think I watched a lot of films with friends at my place. You
Mm-hmm.
included. Like I enjoyed having those movies where you watching a lot more films with more
Exactly.
people, and those tend to be the movies you end up watching again with
Mm-hmm.
other people, the ones that are a little more fun. Like I think you and I could probably watch Sound of Metal together,
Yeah,
but how often are you going to be able to like invite all your friends over? Hey guys, you want to watch Sound of
exactly. There's
Metal?
not
Like
like the party movies, you know, the movies to watch with a bunch of different people. It's kind of harder. Like, yeah.
yeah,
And last one I'll
but
say to that, even though I didn't enjoy it as much as you
yeah,
did, I didn't like it as much. The Menu, definitely one of those.
yeah. I see. For me, I like the menu so much, but I also consider it like very
Yeah.
well done as a whole. But I do
Well
see where
done.
there are some aspects of it that that's a food joke, food pun. Um, but yeah, so I guess let's lead into the favorites.
You go first. So you already know what mine is.
Well, spoiler alert, I did a best of the year
Yeah, what
video.
did you say? I forget. No,
You don't
I
remember?
don't, because I remember you put Everything Everywhere All at Once at number 2. Yeah.
Two.
Oh, you said Top Gun?
And that I
Yeah.
said Top Gun Maverick. And that was a very, very
Decision.
tough, impossible
Yeah.
choice. I haven't had this hard of a time picking my favorite movie of the year in
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
can
how
see
long.
that.
At any day I could pick one of those films over the other one. It just happened to be Top Gun
Yeah.
Maverick that day, and I think the main reason I picked that there was two reasons. First reason was because upon second viewing for both films, I think Top Gun Maverick, even though it wasn't in theaters and it wasn't as amazing, it was still I still enjoyed the film. Just I mean it
Yeah.
was still amazing, but you know just the theatrical experience. That was the best theatrical experience
Yeah,
I've
it's like
had
otherworldly.
last year, and um, it was still great at home, but I also felt the film itself to me did not my opinion of the film didn't change in that I still loved it just as much, maybe even more.
Yeah.
Right. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I had a good theatrical experience. I wish there was more people because it could have been
Yeah.
even more fun, but it
Exactly.
was
Yeah.
really good. And I did love that film. Like I was rooting for it for this
Mhm.
whole year, and I'm so glad
Yeah.
it's getting so much attention
Yeah,
for
especially when
awards.
it came out.
And then my only thought was when I saw it again, it didn't quite have the same level of an impact on me the first time. It still impacted me and I still loved it, but I just felt like maybe I liked it just a teeny tiny bit less. Maybe the hype had died down or something. You know, there was just something
Yeah.
that was just not quite the same level of enthusiasm as that first, because that first time you see that film, you're never going to get
Yeah.
that experience again,
You know,
right?
it's just like
You know,
a mile a minute. And you know, and yeah, it's just like it's such a visual like treat. And you know, I've only seen it like 1.5 times because my mom didn't finish it the second time. But like I saw it with a great crowd. I saw it at a almost sold out like at the Rialto. So it was like 30 people in the theater. And it was a lot of mixed crowd.
nice.
You could hear people crying, you could hear people happy, all different ages because Rialto was just like everyone. And it was like it was just so fun. And I definitely want to rewatch it. I feel like that one definitely I feel like you could watch Top Gun Maverick more closer together multiple different times and enjoy it just from like an action standpoint, where Everything Everywhere All at Once has a very impactful emotional scenes that you might get tired out on depending on when and how close you see them together. And I can definitely see the rewatchability in closeness being harder for that movie.
Yeah, and I think maybe that was the only
Hmm.
thing. Like, there are so many things I love about Everything Everywhere that were still great upon second viewing, and I don't know. Like, yeah, it's just like I said. Like, my second reason. My second reason is that with the way the movie industry is going, Top Gun Maverick. I said this in my video. It we needed Top Gun Maverick.
Hmm.
Movie theaters needed Top Gun Maverick. We needed a movie this year that was gonna bring movie theaters back, bring people
And
back to the
especially
movies.
a
Because I
a
don't
movie that isn't a Marvel one, obviously, because Spider-Man obviously was huge, but like that's a
exactly.
very specific movie that everybody that is closely into anything like that will. But there hasn't been a non-Marvel blockbuster since like COVID happened, and so there was definitely something needing to bring people in to kind of revitalize those theaters that wasn't Spider-Man.
Yeah, and so um, yeah, the way the industry is going now, we have so much like studios don't know whether to put something on streaming or to put it in theaters. We needed a movie like that to remind people, like especially studios, like you can make plenty of money in the movie theaters, and people
Yeah,
will come out and see it if you make a quality crowd pleaser, just well done film. People will show up. There's all sorts of reasons, and that can be another discussion sometime. But anyway, yeah, that was I love
yeah,
both
yeah.
of those films,
Obviously,
though.
Everything Everywhere All at Once
I,
would be
I, I
mine.
hope,
I don't think there's
and you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, right?
Don't hate me. I was gonna go see it in
So
theaters in December. I don't think it'll be my favorite. I do think it'll be like top five.
I think at this point it's probably been overhyped
Yeah,
enough to where you might just
I
not.
missed the original run just
But
because it was my final semester and like I was so busy watching movies for class. And so I was
yeah,
doing it was summer semester and I was doing like 12 units in 2 months or something like that and I was like I don't have time. And then I just like
Yeah.
I didn't see Nope in theaters. I was really sad about that, but me and my girlfriend just like never made it to theaters as much as we wanted to this summer. I did not see that many movies this summer.
Yeah. That's okay. You'll get to see it. Maybe
I
you
might just
see
go
it
buy a
before the
4K
Oscars. There you
like
go.
this week or next week and go watch it because
Yeah.
I know I'll probably want to watch it again.
Uh,
But yeah,
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once is my favorite. Great movie to see with people. It's definitely like emotional and it definitely plucks at certain strings, especially if you're affected by those. And that was definitely a movie that like had a lot of things that I really loved, but also just I love the Daniels. I didn't get to meet them, but I got to meet.
Mm.
They did Swiss Army Man, and I got to meet the guy who did the music for it because he was one of my favorite artists, and he did some shows up here in the Bay Area, Andy Hull, and so I got to meet him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're up. I did the show because I was up in the movie filming it up there, blah blah blah," and that's super cool. And he was super.
I
Yeah,
totally forgot that.
he was super cool. He's the camera guy in that movie for like a scene at the end with the news crew, and but yeah, he did the whole
Nice.
soundtrack for that movie. He's an awesome guy, and that's when I really started liking them. I saw, I think, what's it called? The Death of Dick Long. That movie was directed by or written by one of
Hmm.
them, but I liked that. It wasn't anything the same as
Yeah.
that one. And then I was super hyped for this, especially because they announced the cast, and you're like, wait, it's that guy from Temple of Doom and Goonies. Goonies also filmed up in the same area near where Swiss Army Man was filmed. Fun fact. Um, and I thought that that was like super cool. I love Michelle Yeoh from like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right? Okay,
Yep.
I was like, hopefully I'm not
Um,
misspeaking, but yeah, the whole story behind it too
well,
just made it really
yeah,
fun. And that movie also got hyped up for me, and then I saw it like a month after it came out. Like,
that movie, yeah, they
yeah,
definitely it had a lot of hype, but
hmm
that it definitely lived up to it.
it was
And
just yeah,
um,
that was so fun.
it was
I
crazy.
don't really want to talk anything about it. Just like a roller coaster of emotions, super funny, all this crazy stuff. Probably the best way to do multiverse in any way.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see something, yeah,
Yeah.
that tops that, yeah, ever. Like it was just insane. But they also, I think, darn it, what was I gonna say? Like yeah, just the sheer. Okay, this is not what I was gonna say, but just like the sheer level of
hmm
creativity on screen.
Exactly.
Like it's the
You
most creative
felt
film I've probably ever
the
seen.
imagination and like the the just like the touch and like the image of the directors and writers from the Daniels in like every frame. Like there were so many things in everything, which really encompasses the title of the movie. It's just like every frame there's something going on, and you're just so engrossed and just pulled in by the movie. That was the wrong term for it, but yeah, you're just pulled in by the movie because there's just so much going on, and it's kind of funny because the movie kind of just takes place in like two locations outside of like a lot of the visual effects. Um, but it's like there's so much going on outside of that and like in that and like they can do so much in their element and it was like just insane. Shows like the immense creativity that you can like throw into something and it wasn't even that expensive to make. It was like $5 or $10 million and they made like over $100 million. It was
Wow.
insane.
Yeah, I think it was like 20
Yeah, it was
million.
like
Yeah,
yeah, they made so much
but they
money.
made,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it was like so good. There are definitely people
I
that
think
like
per theater.
can further the creativeness of like filmmaking as like a blending of genres and like push the limits of a lot of different things and that's what was really fun about that.
I just hope they continue just to
Exactly, they
keep
do some
making
crazy
things
stuff.
like
It's so
that.
fun.
You know. Well, we hope everyone watching will see
Yes,
both of those movies
yes.
eventually. they they are definitely, you know, the movies most
Yeah,
worth
so I
watching
think now
for that
it's
year.
probably better to talk about
Yeah,
the movie that we recently saw with the time limit we're at, than talk
sure.
about the upcoming Golden Globe, which I feel like a reaction.
Yeah, yeah. Let's save the Golden
Yeah,
Globes for the reaction, especially because who knows how many people watching this are actually
yeah,
gonna
I feel
watch
like
the
the
Globes or
Globes is
care.
like kind of like a more of a mid note, not a footnote, but like a kind of like oh it's there, but like it's kind of it's barely
Especially
above
now.
like the Gothams and like the Spirit Awards at this point, which people have way more fun at,
Yeah,
and like the what's it called, the one where all the SAG Awards, like those are ones I really
yeah.
respect and I like looking at after, and we'll all talk about those after they come out, and I'd be like oh this is a good thing blah blah blah, but yeah, Golden Globes has definitely like lost its flame. And so it's definitely we'll talk about it for like
Yeah.
20 minutes in the next episode. A better
It'll
reaction
be
though,
interesting
I
to see
think.
what happens tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. We'll
compared to the
react to it
Oscars, our
for
yearly
sure.
hate watch.
But yeah.
Why didn't you nominate Pearl, you bastards?
Oh no! Don't get me started. We'll have that rant eventually. We'll dedicate a whole episode of the
Yeah,
Mile Minute Movie
make
Talk
a really
just to Mia
cringy
Goth. How
like
about that?
song by the both of us, where we just like
Oh
send
my!
like death threat to like the Oscars.
We'll have my roommate play piano in the background for the song. All right. So I think I know what movie you're referring to. The one we just watched together. So we recently
I saw it
saw
for the second
Babylon.
time.
Yes, and Lucas is so cool. He works on movie theater, so he was able to get me free
for the
tickets.
video store. I mean, while I was working at the video store and my other job, which I work for a nondescript National Basketball Association team.
That no one has ever heard of.
Yes, based on our geolocation, you pretty much figure that out. But so yeah, those are like my two jobs, movie theater and that. But
it could be one of three,
yeah, with all
one of four
other
actually.
film stuff I do. So actually working in the industry with a graduate student
Well,
degree in it. What? Or a bachelor's, I mean. But yeah,
yeah.
so yeah,
No,
working there is I just pick up random hours, and we saw Babylon. The people behind us sucked. They were annoying old people. But outside of that, the movie was great. It's just like very much encompasses the two eras that they're talking about, but also is one of the funniest movies I've seen this year. It is so fun. And then it turns into like this drama, and then just like the really weird ending that it has. It's just insane.
It really went like all over the place in like the best way to me. Like there was, yeah, like you were saying, the first hour or so is so over the top and fast and just crazy and funny, and then it takes a steep as soon as the silent era hits,
as soon as the jazz singer comes out, don't watch that movie. It has blackface.
And as soon as the the sound stage scene where it gets so quiet and slows down, and then it does get loud again in that moment, but I really like how they transitioned from all those different elements, and then there's some really like crazy out there fun scenes
like
with
the
like a snake
scene,
and Margot Robbie.
Tobey Maguire cameo. That's kind of like the end of Boogie Nights with the drug scene.
And it felt like we were watching Barbarian again.
Yeah, and everything's kind of obviously one of the big detractors from the movie that people or critics are saying like it's not real, it's whatever. The two main things I just say to that is like I know a lot of critics romanticize that era, and seeing a vision like that of it is very not something that they would like at all, and it might just throw them off, especially right at the beginning with all the stuff that they throw at you. I find it disgusting, depraved, and just all this stuff. But what's his name? No, the guy who directed it.
Brad Pitt? Or no? Oh, the
Chazelle.
director?
I was gonna say Sean.
Damien Chazelle.
I blinked on his name so bad. But Damien Chazelle has pretty much said he over exaggerated a lot of things that were going on, but it's still like a somewhat image of what was going on. But the main thing with that movie is just how fun it is to watch the adventure of a lot of these people in the first half and the comedic elements, and then you pull you into these characters through the comedy. And once it slows down, you're kind of watching, okay, how is this going to play out now that like all this fun and just like glorious times that they're having are now over, and they're kind of like fighting for their work. And a lot of the side stories are fun too, like the African American trumpet guy. He's fucking hilarious.
Jazz,
dude.
yeah.
I'm gonna hit you in the face with this trumpet, and maybe if I hit you in those fat lips, you'll learn how to play the sax right. See what he does to me. See what he does. They have like the time jumps in that. The pacing is great, but you still have the same characters doing like similar things. But like, there's so much fun. Before you say anything, I just wanted to say I didn't realize Spike Jonze was the fucking German director. That was Spike Jonze.
Oh, really?
That was hilarious. I was like, oh, he looks his face is way more similar than I remember it.
I don't know if I've seen what he looks like before.
Producer extraordinaire.
Well, I do know that.
Extraordinaire.
What's that? Yeah. Well, I do know that. I think the way the film was structured was so interesting to me because, like for a 3-hour movie, you really need to
Yeah, exactly.
justify that length, right? And it really did in the first half with how fast that went. The
Hmm.
first hour goes by incredibly fast, and then I felt like it was the perfect time to slow. Like the way they slowed it down was perfect because I was like ready to just like I was ready to like breathe and just like
Hmm.
dial into these characters and like and I really like how they kind of surprisingly show you a lot of different people and different
Hmm.
backgrounds and different struggles, you know, because they're all representations of different cultures
Yeah.
and things that people want to like. I think we were talking about how like Margot Robbie's character is um partially like you could
Of like,
see
yeah,
influences or
Judy Garland
inspiration
was like,
from like
even though she
Judy
wasn't named as
Garland
heavily,
or
or like influenced by her, and then they said some other ones I can't think off the top of my head, but a lot of the people that were in like what
yeah
are they called, like the was like dance crazy movies from the 20s. Yeah, a lot of those like different
yeah
actresses
yeah
from that like
and
very much followed her narrative. But like yeah, on that too, I feel like another reason for like maybe some people I don't like it, I don't know. It's about early Hollywood, and two of the characters are white that are the main characters, and I feel like
mm,
all you see about that era is kind of the just like all the glorious days with all the actors that you know and stuff. But then they focus on like the African American musician. They focus on the Mei Fei Wong inspired character, or is that yeah Mei Fei Wong? Mei Fei Wong. I think that's the
yeah
real lady's
I
name.
think so.
Um, Fei
Yeah,
Zhao.
because the
Yeah,
character
Lady
is like
Fei
Fei
Zhao.
Zhao. Yeah,
And Mei Fei Wong is the real character
yeah,
that she's kind of based off. And then the main guy, he's a Mexican immigrant that like gets always wanted to be in movies,
yeah,
and he kind of gets in the industry, and you follow him. And so like he's essentially the main character for the whole movie. And so like that's not really something that you would see in any movie that was
yeah.
made around that time, because a lot of those were characterized as very typecast characters in any of the cinema that they were doing. And you kind of see with their character's journey once Hollywood kind of catches up onto like, oh, now we have to listen to these people talk. Maybe we should do something different with the people that a lot of America doesn't want to see, especially if we're going to try to market this movie in the South. And they kind of do that in the movie, where a lot of the people get out of that because now it's more character driven than it was like before, at least in a certain aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think all the characters
Yeah.
had really interesting journeys. It becomes a pretty sad film, and like you said, by the end of it, it does leave a lot
Yeah, there's a lot to,
up to
yeah,
interpretation,
in a
but
way, and then there was
in a
also
good
just a
way.
lot to think about after the movie. Like there's a lot of things, like a lot of all the characters have a
Yeah.
definite ending. You know what's happens to them, but
Mm-hmm.
like it's definitely
Yeah.
like really interesting to see like the multiple aspects of it, and definitely start thinking about like, oh, how did this become that, and like the journey of the people are just so interesting. It's like the characters are just so intriguing, all the side characters are great. I was so surprised by Damien Chazelle's wife. Like she'd been in some other movies, she was so fun. She's like
Oh.
was one of my favorite characters in that movie as the female director, which was a big thing in Hollywood at the time. They had just female directors because no one cared about directors as much. It's mostly the writers and the actors, because it was the star system back then. And then when the 30s kind of come, they're like, let's kind of push them out a little bit more, you know. And then kind of like when the 40s came, directors, Frank Capra, all of them became like the drawing name, as well as that. Not to forget to say Alfred Hitchcock. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a really good point. I think that the one thing I really like is even though like you said like they're showcasing characters that we didn't see or you know backgrounds and representing
Hmm.
people that we didn't see a lot of in that era.
Yeah.
They were there, and but the film didn't feel like they were
Yeah, they weren't like pushing anything that was abnormal. You were
pushing
just following people
like
that were
represent.
fun to follow, and they were people that were actually there.
Yeah, like I never was watching the film going like,
Yeah,
well, that doesn't seem realistic, or that doesn't seem. This seems like you're just, you know, like
exactly.
you just want representation. Like
Exactly.
it
It didn't
doesn't.
feel
It
like they
didn't
were
feel
pushing
like,
any type of agenda. If you're like one of those people that cares about that, it just felt like you're following characters that were actually there, and they were giving you a variety of them.
they
Because
felt
one of
real.
them isn't. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
them,
and
like
they
two
felt
or
like
three of
real
them, are
people.
like. I mean, all of them are based on like real people that existed in that era, and like a mixture of some of them, but like a lot of them too kind of just get dragged into the Hollywood because they're, oh hey, we're in LA for some reason in the 20s. What else is there to do?
And in the, I think what really stood out too, which is probably why I never felt that way either, is because the performances from each of them were excellent. They were all so good. Like even the people that I loved and like the people that I knew were going to be good. Honestly, like if I was to rank the film just by the performances, I wouldn't even put like Brad
Diego
Pitt and
Calva
Margot
was
Robbie
really
at
good.
the top.
I just looked up his name, so that's the only reason I know it. But like he hadn't really been in anything. He was in a lot of like telenovelas and like Spanish language films, a lot that did not come over here. Like he's very unknown. He's
And I loved some of the smaller roles. Like I loved just even Samara Weaving's character. Yeah, and the fact that they had her and Margot Robbie in the same movie finally.
Emma Stone, was it Margot Robbie? I think. Emma Stone was supposed to be.
Emma Stone was supposed to be that character.
Because she had a conflict.
I did not know the backstory. You're making me think. You to briefly go back to
Margot
Everything
Robbie.
Everywhere. She
was supposed to be originally played by Emma Stone.
To briefly. Wow, I cannot see Emma Stone in that role now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, but I can't. Like but I wanted to touch. I was going to comment on Everything Everywhere. How Awkwafina was originally supposed to be.
There was a year of like the other actor, the second choice being the better choice for the one the audience definitely liked more. Yeah.
Or just a great
Chan
replacement.
Was
whatever.
To be, Tia Khan's character. But I think he read the script and
balled out because
Jackie Chan is homophobic. So. I mean,
well, there goes my childhood.
Don't look at Jackie Chan's daughter. What happened with that?
Oh no. Yeah. I will not. Well, yeah, I feel like there's a lot more I could talk about that movie.
It's definitely one that is, I feel, getting not the credit it deserves, because, or just like not the reviews it deserves, because the critics are definitely skewed, and then I know a lot of audiences are probably walking into that theater, seeing the first 10 minutes and walking out and being like, this is disgusting. Because like if you're like a person that's really into like religion or something, and you don't like a lot of or whatever, and you just don't like a lot of nudity or like a lot of like disgusting things on the screen, there's a lot of that in the movie, especially in the first 10 minutes. And so anybody like that would probably just like go inside and be like, this is horrible. I can totally see why people do that, but like,
so
the movie's definitely not for you.
I do think it's a movie that's going to gain more traction as time goes on and be remembered in a positive light. So we'll see how we'll see. You never know.
It's like the box office of movies like that. There's a lot of movies that bomb, and who cares about the box office for a movie like that? Definitely. It would have been hard to make
exactly.
That's at least 200 million or something to make its money back. That'd have been hard because it was like.
Yeah, as a perfect example of a movie that like box offices and everything. But, well, let's see.
I don't
Is there
think
anything we can wrap up on, or you think
we already kind of talked about a lot of our.
Oh well, we should touch base on what we're going to plan to see. And
so
then talk
this
about
week
next
we're both going to see Megan. I don't think we're seeing it together though. Oh, we might. Yes.
We might. The jury is out, but at the moment I'd like to see it with you. Yeah. So that would that will probably be what we review.
What's today?
Next
Monday?
time.
So that's a good time to release these episodes at least too, is Mondays, day after the box office weekend.
Yeah.
Mondays or Thursdays. But
True.
I've seen Megan. I know in 2 weeks I already have a movie planned out that I'm going to see, which is Skinamarink. I don't know. You probably. Yes.
I just heard of this. I literally just heard of this for the first time.
Got just a quick synopsis, but not to go on too long. But movie got released online illegally, I think, through it was in like a movie festival, and people watched it. They're like, "This movie's crazy. It's this crazy like backroomsy kind of kids." Essentially, the plot. It's a really weird not found footage, but like shot like on VHS and stuff like that. Really weird visuals. Kids go up to get like water at night. 2 kids.
Yeah.
They try to go back to their room, and their room's gone, and they're stuck in this house with no windows or doors and ways out. And it's supposed to be like crazy scary. I had a couple friends that watched it, and they said it was like super super good, really good, like creepy horror movie. And so it finally got picked up by someone, which was
Okay.
Shudder. I don't know who's actually releasing it, but Shudder got the streaming rights, and it's going to be put in theaters this week, coming 15th, I think, the 12th or the 13th, I think is. Yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah,
gonna be in theaters,
Thursday,
I think,
Friday.
this
Yeah.
weekend or next weekend, and so I'm definitely gonna see that with my girlfriend.
Cool.
So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm
definitely
definitely
kind
gonna
of
see
a
Megan,
horror I will
and
have probably next time because we'll probably see a couple. Um,
yeah,
and then I think the only other thing is last movie you saw. You could just say what that was. Yeah, last movie that you saw, was it Babylon?
last movie that I saw. No, I
Yeah.
don't even know if you're aware of what I last saw. But was it a different movie? No. The very last movie that I watched
Oh,
was
nice.
the original
Interesting.
Willow.
Yeah, and
Never seen it before, and yeah, it. So actually, that's a lie. When I was like in my wee young years, um, I was in daycare, and we put this movie on at some point, and I was terrified by it because in the very beginning there's a scene where these boars are attacking a mother as a baby
oh yeah,
is in a basket going through the river, and the mother is just being attacked, and it just like fades out on the mother being attacked by these boars. And as a child, I remember being so scared by that and so like confused, and the beginning was just so
hmm
strange. And anywho, I kind of blocked that movie out of my memory
yeah,
and avoided it my entire life. So I decided to watch it for the first time
yeah. The
because
show.
I guess it's popular right now with the new sequel. Yeah, the series. I
hmm
enjoyed parts of it. It was the performances by
Yeah,
Warwick Davis is great in it. His whole character, and Willow himself was just like a fun character, and like I liked his, I guess, village and just like everything about him. I think the rest of the movie it hasn't aged very well. It has the effects have definitely taken a dive. The music is by James Horner.
I've heard of
He's like
him.
one of the
I
more famous composers. He passed away in 2015. I looked him up after this. I was
oh
very
yeah,
the music is great in Willow. It was really well done. Val Kilmer is in it, and he was fun. He had a really
hmm
like ridiculous
yeah,
character, Mad Mardigan. Um, but let's just say this: I
yeah.
watched the movie in two parts, two separate nights. So it wasn't a movie that I
Exactly.
felt
Yeah.
compelled to like
I was.
really invest a lot of
We'll
time
probably
in.
do
And
this at the beginning of the next episode. Just be like, "Oh, what did you watch recently?" Because now we've introduced what we're going to do. But I just wanted to preface. But
oh yeah,
yeah, for me, last movie I watched was the
yeah,
1992 Native American horror movie. I think that's the right year. Clear Cut, 1991. It is a movie by a Polish director set in Canada, and it's about a Native American guy that they have a white lawyer. He's trying to help them defend and get their land back, or at least keep the lumber company off their land. And they kind of fail, and there's protests and stuff. And then this one guy, one of the Native Americans, he's decides to kidnap the guy who runs the lumber company and torture him
oh
in the
geez,
way similar to how they are torturing the land. And it's not that graphic. I thought it would be way more
oh
graphic. There's like a skinning scene on like part of his body, but not like his whole body. But it was really interesting. It's very methodical, talking
okay,
kind of like the treatment of that, and also a lot of Native American lore in that like you learn certain things about characters. They're not real. They might be a spirit of some sorts. Blah blah blah. It was pretty cool. It was very much didn't feel
okay,
that didn't feel the budget really short. It's like 90 minutes, maybe like 88 minutes. I started it like a month ago and
okay,
didn't finish it because I fell asleep, and then I just rewatched it like yesterday. And yeah, I was like, oh, they're pretty cool.
nice,
I had fun.
classic,
It was definitely fun. I really like Native
nice.
American, like South American cinema, so a lot of it does really cool things, especially with their
There's a
culture
lot,
aspect
a
with
lot.
the spirits and all that. Definitely more
Mm,
connectivity with and not connectivity, but like having a base that you can like dive into spiritually, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
yeah. there's a lot I still need to check out that I haven't seen.
Clear
But
Cut.
yeah,
It
so
has
what was that one
the
called?
main Native American guy in the movie is in
Clear
something.
Cut.
Let me look it up. Graham Greene. He was in Dances with Wolves and like Thunderheart and Die Hard with a Vengeance. And he's still acting.
Oh, okay.
He was in Green Mile.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. Hollywood actor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I guess that might wrap up episode
Nice.
1.
Well, the episode. What's the subtitle? It's got to be Star Wars-esque. Episode 1, the
What?
the Babylonian. No.
The
Mandalorian.
Babylon. I don't know.
My joke. Yeah. The Phantom Babylon. There you go. No. Well, yeah, that sounds good. I think we can wrap it up here. I'll say that next week we'll look forward to talking to you guys about Megan
Golden Globe
and
reactions.
giving our
We'll
Golden
definitely do
Globe
an Oscars
reactions
prediction
and
just because it's the big one.
some other stuff.
But yeah, definitely for
Yeah,
Golden Globe, we'll do a little
that'll
reaction
come up
to
soon.
it. Talk about Megan. Definitely, if we've seen anything else. I don't think we'll assign a film yet, but I think next week we'll assign a film that we're going to watch for the episode after that. So if you want to watch it with us, you can do that with next episode.
Or you can watch Megan and you can ask us
very
some
clearly
questions
talking about
in
a
the
movie
comments.
You're to see. Yeah, so yeah, if you
and,
see Megan, definitely comment down below what you think about it. And I think that's it. Outside of I am Lucas, also Lugure Films on Instagram. I'll probably going to change my name to that on YouTube right now, so that'll be it.
Nice. And of course, you guys know me, Dylan, of course, Dyligent Picks.
Yes.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been wanting to do this for a while, and we finally decided to just pull the trigger and get it done.
I think I definitely had a, it was good, and so we'll probably hopefully continue this, and hopefully we hear a lot back from people here, because that'd be the main thing is that we just want to talk to you guys about all this stuff. So hopefully hear a lot of things when we can.
Yeah. Definitely let us know what you guys think, and if you have any suggestions or anything.
I'm just
I know my lighting
so
wasn't very good today.
Maybe figure that out one day. I know we have yes, exactly.
But hey, humble beginnings.
You never know.
So exactly. Well, we will say goodnight to you guys. Good morning, good afternoon. Have a great rest of your. And we'll probably get this up hopefully tomorrow.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
See Megan if you have money or the chance.
We'll see you. Right. Have a great Friday the 13th, everyone. Yeah. All right. I will say goodbye to everyone and
good night.
with a nice wave.